Coming up on UCF Nightly News. See what some Florida politicians want to change about bright futures.
Find out how UCF plans to fully return to campus next fall.
And we'll get to know the candidates running for UCF Student Body President. Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Sade Teel.
And I'm Matison Little. Today is Friday, March 5th, 2021.
Many students may not qualify for Bright Future scholarships anymore. Florida Republicans proposed changes last week that could limit college aid for certain majors. Nightly News reporter Tanya Brito tells us more about what UCF students are saying about these changes.
Last week, Republican Senator Dennis Bexley filed Senate Bill 86, a bill that would limit college aid based on whether a student's major is likely to result in a job after graduation. Junior business major Taylor Tallis says she doesn't understand how politicians can determine if a major can result in a job or not.
If a major wouldn't result on a job, it just wouldn't be a major because no one would pick, because that's the purpose of picking a major and go to college. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Under the bill, the Board of Governors and the State Board of Education will need to approve a list of career certificates, undergraduate, and graduate degree programs each year.
Bright Future students are currently eligible for aid on 100 or 75% of tuition. But under this bill, some students might have to give up on a career they are passionate about just to have an education that's paid for.
Senior Global Studies major Gabriel Pacheco says he identifies with Republican values, but he thinks Senator Bexley is overstepping some boundaries filing this bill.
Although made from a Republican, I think it's pretty dangerous for our individual freedoms.
Republicans in the legislature say the changes are a way for the state to cut back on spending. In Orlando, Tanya Brito, UCF Nightly News.
Bright Future Scholarship Program is funded by the Florida Lottery and has awarded more than $6.2 billion to students since 1997. If approved, the new legislation would impact students beginning in the 2022 academic school year.
UCF announced its plan to return to in-person classes. This would require students to come back to campus for the 2021 fall semester. Nightly News reporter Jaret Kappelman tells us what this means for the university.
Earlier this week, UCF revealed it wants to return to face-to-face learning. In an email sent by Interim Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Michael D. Johnson, it stated a plan for full face-to-face learning and activities in this upcoming fall semester. This will remove capacity restrictions and most courses will be on campus. However, mask and health measures will still be in place. Some students are excited to return back to the classroom. Junior finance major Jay Gilbert said he took some time off from school because he did not like online learning.
I took a semester off with online learning because I felt that it wasn't conducive to a good learning environment. But if UCF can bring us back to in-person classes in a safe way, then I'd be really excited to come back to school.
It has been almost a year since the pandemic forced UCF to go remote, and some students have moved back home to save money and get a job. Junior business student John Lawson says he has done a lot at home since the pandemic started and does not think he could afford to move back up to Orlando.
When the pandemic hit, I moved back home, and I've been saving money by not having to pay for housing. I got a job at home, so I think it would be kind of difficult for me to go back now.
If UCF goes through with its plan to bring classes back to campus, it raises a lot of questions. Like, is the university going to help students find jobs, or are they also going to help out with poor financial situations caused by COVID-19?
UCF officials did not reply when asked to comment on how they will help students. The university says it will continue to closely monitor public health conditions. In Orlando, Jaret Kappelman, UCF Nightly News.
The upcoming summer semester will still operate remotely, while some spring classes are currently in person. Nightly News will keep you updated on any further information as the situation develops.
Governor Ron DeSantis wants to expand COVID-19 vaccine eligibility. DeSantis signed an executive order allowing physicians, nurses, and pharmacists to vaccinate people with high-risk medical conditions. The executive order allows people who are younger than 65 but extremely vulnerable to COVID-19 to get vaccinated. Previously, people with high-risk conditions had to receive the vaccine at a hospital. The order does not say what documentation will be required to prove that a person is extremely vulnerable. Freshman UCF business major Carla Jenkins says this order is important because it encourages people to get vaccinated.
That most people can get vaccines at get the vaccines at some more convenient locations, like Publix and Walmart pharmacies, all that. They'll be more likely actually to go get it.
DeSantis signed the order into effect last Friday.
New air quality sensors will be coming to downtown Orlando. UCF researchers created low-cost sensors that can detect tiny pollution particles. Nightly News reporter Tanya Brito explains how those sensors can improve Orlando residents' quality of life.
3 UCF professors created UCF Stare, a project designed to set up low-cost air quality sensors in downtown Orlando. The new sensors can detect tiny pollution particles that are capable to cause huge problems to people's health. UCF professor and studies author Fei Yu says because they created such low-cost sensors, they are able to put out 100 devices throughout the city.
And with the 100 units, we can capture the hotspot. So we can actually basically give us a good idea what's going on with the pollution in the entire region. And we want to see which community impacted, what can we do to help the community to basically reduce the pollution.
The researchers already installed sensors in 5 different neighborhoods, and residents do not have to pay anything to have a sensor installed in their area.
Sensors are installed in light poles like this, and the only source of energy they need in order to work comes directly from the sun.
UCF professor and study co-author Kelly Stevens says their ultimate goal is to help citizens to make behavior changes that will improve their health.
That that air quality has been negatively affected from some recent construction, you can plan around that. You can plan to have your windows closed during that time, limit your exposure outside especially if you're a sensitive population.
Researchers say they also hope to empower citizens to advocate for regulatory changes that could help improve their air quality. In Orlando, Tanya Brito, UCF Knightly News.
Researchers are continuing to look for up to 11 neighborhoods to join the project. They plan on fully completing their project by December of 2021.
UCF students will soon elect a new student body president and vice president. 2 tickets will be on the ballot this year, Megan Austin, as well as Dylan and Malachi. Nightly News reporter Christian Felt tells us about these candidates' platforms.
Every year, students vote for who they want to represent them as student body president and vice president. The parties running this year have unique platforms but a few similar goals. Student body presidential candidate Meg Hall says that she hopes to take the role to create an impact that goes beyond Orlando.
I really think that the job of the president should be to go beyond UCF and advocate at that higher level, speak with state representatives, senators, go to DC even to make sure that UCF is represented within the larger political scheme.
Together, Meg and her VP, Austin Wilson, promise golden days ahead if elected. Student body president is an important role, being the only student member of the UCF Board of Trustees.
I'm standing outside the student union, where the SGA office is on the 3rd floor. The next president will meet there with their chosen cabinet to allocate over $20 million in service and activities fee budget.
Student body presidential candidate Dylan Street says he relies on the input of other students to create his platform.
I can't just say, okay, let's see what it's like to be this student at UCF. You know what I mean? I don't know that. And so by talking to students and saying, okay, now let's give your idea credit to you and say this is what it is, that's what makes our platform special.
Dylan and his VP, Malachi Mullings, look forward to a new chapter if elected. Both parties have a focus on increasing the amount of safe, in-person events next year. In Orlando, Christian Felt, UCF Nightly News.
Voting for the SGA election takes place March 15th through the 17th. You can cast your vote for the next student body president at myucf.edu.
Jaret, the weather is beautiful today here in Orlando. Tell us, will it be nice enough for a picnic?
Well, Madison, I'm glad you asked because, yeah, it's looking like great picnic weather. If we go ahead and look today, right now it is currently 73 degrees outside and only a 34% humidity. So it's really not going to be that sticky heat today. Nice cool breeze, which leads me into we only have a 7-mile-per-hour wind blowing in the northeast direction. And the best news of today being that there is no chance of rain. So once you finish up watching nightly news, head outside, have a nice lunch outside, and enjoy the day. That's all I have. Back to you, Madison and Sade.
Coming up, see how one UCF student gains followers on TikTok while playing his trumpet.
A freshman at UCF is making his claim to fame with his trumpet. Earlier this week, I talked to Adam Zaff about his journey to TikTok stardom. Walking around campus, you may hear Adam Zaff playing his trumpet in the parking garages. Zaff is a freshman at UCF majoring in music education and music performance. But in between classes, he has a TikTok career to keep up with. Zaff posts videos of himself playing his trumpet and performing covers of popular songs. He says this is all in efforts to keep up with his 50,000 followers. Zaff says he didn't plan on blowing up. In fact, he says he didn't even start TikTok with intentions of playing music.
I was just told by a bunch of friends that, hey, you're pretty funny, you would be good on TikTok.
He says all it took was one video, a video of him playing a song he says many people know from Avengers Endgame.
I just posted it, not even thinking about a single thing, and I woke up the next day. I vividly remember seeing on my phone, I'm like, oh, let's see how my phone goes. Oh, that's a lot of notifications, all right.
Zaff says the video received 29,000 likes overnight, and his only reaction was,
oh my God, that's insane.
Zaff says he continues to post videos because people like his music and like to hear the trumpet. He says he plans to take any opportunity his trumpet brings him, all while doing his best to keep up with TikTok. Zaff also posts videos of himself playing the trumpet to his YouTube and his Instagram accounts.
On a more serious note, UCF is mourning the loss of theater professor Mark Brotherton. His obituary says Brotherton passed away yesterday from complications of cancer. He was 61 years old. Brotherton worked on more than 90 productions for the university that spanned a 25-year career. UCF officials say they will be allowing people to join a virtual memorial for Brotherton on Monday night. When we come back, we'll see what stories feature on the web on NSM Today.
And we'll take a look at the future of NASA as mankind makes another giant leap in space exploration.
NASA skyrocketed to a huge achievement last week by landing a rover on Mars. This is the first time live video of Mars has been shown and transmitted back to Earth. Nightly News reporter Cliff Tumetel tells us what's next for NASA.
NASA landing on Mars was an historical accomplishment in the program. The rover even picked up sound on Mars for everyone to hear. Now that NASA made another breakthrough, the program is looking to continue moving forward. UCF physics professor Joshua Caldwell says this landing was great, not only because the rover can pick up sound, but the timing of the landing.
That, just managing to get the thing launched on time. It's not the kind of thing where you can just oh, well, there's a pandemic, so we're going to be a little bit late.
Caldwell says the next step for NASA is to collect samples for studies for analysis back on Earth, something that hasn't been done on Mars.
While the possibilities aren't endless yet for NASA, it's still a major accomplishment. One student says, in his eyes, the program is lifting off higher than ever.
Senior aerospace engineering major Adrian Ruse is the current president of the UCF Astronomy Club, and he says it was an experience he'll never forget.
I was actually monitoring my heartbeat, because my watch has a heart rate monitor thing, and it was 70 on the normal, but just before the landing, it spiked to 120.
Ruiz says he hopes that in the future, NASA and UCF will continue to strengthen their relationship and create more opportunities for students. In Orlando, Cliff Tumetel, UCF Nightly News.
NASA has moved forward with a plan to collect rock samples from Mars. Nightly News will keep you updated on any new information that NASA will be doing to explore space.
Now we'll take a look at what's trending on NSM today. NSM's visual editor, Amy Pietri-Ortiz, tells us more about what's happening on the web.
Thanks, guys. This week on NSM, check out how UCF virtually hosted a best-selling author. See how some UCF students are bringing safety concerns up about a lack of lighting on campus. And in sports, get to meet another addition to UCF football next season as the Knights land a highly rated defensive end transfer Big Cat Bryant from Auburn. That is all I have for you this week. Check us out on the web at nsm.today.
Thanks, Amy. Check out nsm.today to stay up to date on all things UCF.
A UCF researcher aims to preserve astronauts' muscle function in space. With Mars having only 1/3 the gravity of Earth, going to Mars puts people at risk for loss of muscle mass, strength, and endurance. UCF researcher Ethan Hill says when the idea of astronauts landing on Mars became realistic, concerns sparked about the health issues of spaceflight. Hill is researching how to keep astronauts healthy while in space by creating exercise measures. Hill says without the stimulus of Earth's gravity, muscles can deteriorate rapidly. Hill's research investigates why we get stronger or weaker under certain conditions. Nightly News will keep you updated on this developing story. Jaret, the weather looks nice here in Central Florida, but how's it looking in the rest of the state?
Well, Sade, I'm glad you asked because we're going to take a look at the highs here across the state. Over in Tallahassee, we have a high of 73, while in Jacksonville, it's only a high of 68. Now, if we shift over to the west coast of Florida, we have a high of 78 in Tampa, and here in Orlando, we have a nice, cool 77 degrees high today. And down in Miami, they got a high of 75. So all in all, if you're planning to leave today, don't dress too warm, don't dress too cold, but we're going to take a look at the lows, and this is where it gets a little interesting. In Tallahassee, it's a low of 49, very cold for Florida. Also in Jacksonville, we have a low of 53. Down in Tampa, again, 60 degrees, so not too bad. And then Orlando here tonight, if you do plan to go out, it is a low of 57, so I would recommend probably bringing a jacket and maybe dressing a little snuggled up. And then down in Miami, I'm a little jealous. The low of 70, very nice warm weather. But, we're going to go ahead and look at the 5-day forecast. And I have to say, I do have some bad news for tomorrow. It's a 90% chance of rain. It is going to rain. So any plans you had, cancel them. Plan to binge watch Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever you got, because it's going to be a movie kind of day. We got a high of 64, a low of 53 as a little cold front's going to come in. So Sunday, we're looking at a high of 67 and a low of 49. On Monday, it's a high of 69, low of 53. Then Tuesday, we're going to warm a bit back up to 72 with a low of 57. And on Wednesday, it's going to go back to Florida, hot and cold, but it's going to be hot once again with a high of 79 and a low of 59. But the good news is, after Saturday, we're looking at no rain for the next couple days. So really, if you have any plans, now's the chance to make them because it's going to be some great weather headed into next week. Unfortunately, though, that is all the time I have for right now. So Sade, Matison, back over to you.
When we come back, find out how UCF football added some top-tier talent through transfers.
And see how UCF men's basketball closed out conference play this week before their tournament starts on Thursday.
Hey Knights fans, I'm Tumetel, and here's your UCF Sports Update. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee replaced UCF Athletic Director Terry Mohajer, and that means he will no longer be choosing which NCAA team qualifies for the 14 playoffs. He was nominated to the group by the Sun Belt Conference while at Arkansas State. He's being replaced by another SBC member, Georgia State AD Charlie Kobe. Mohajer served on the committee just 2 years of his 3-year term, and he joined the Knights last month. UCF football keeps charging on by adding some high-profile players to the roster. Malzahn and his staff have been hard at work recruiting. They have offered over 100 athletes since he was hired. UCF has now added 3 4-star transfers to the team, all of who play under Malzahn. According to 24/7 Sports, Mark Anthony Richards, Nate Craig Myers, and Big Cat Bryant have all transferred to UCF to play for the Knights. And with the spring practice around the corner and the spring game on April 10th, there's no question the future of UCF is looking bright with these additions. And UCF baseball is set for a doubleheader today as the Knights take on Liberty. They will play Liberty 3 times this weekend as an out-of-the-conference matchup. The Knights have played only two home games to start this season. Liberty and UCF both hold a record of 3-5, and the Knights have yet to win a home game while the Flames have only won one road game. UCF men's basketball returned to action this week after COVID cancellation. It's the last time UCF plays at home before heading to Texas for the American Athletic Conference tournament. UCF Nightly News reporter John Whitley has the full coverage.
The Knights celebrate their seniors this week in their final home game in a nail-biter win against the Tulsa Hurricanes Tuesday night.
The Knights' Darius Perry, Avery Diggs, and Brandon Mayhem have played their last game here in Edition Arena. Moving forward, the Knights look to make a postseason run starting with the American Athletic Conference tournament next week.
UCF senior center Avery Diggs scores 8 points off the bench for one of his best games of the season for his finale.
Coach always tells me to stay ready. He just said in the locker room that every time I get on the floor, I always take advantage of my minutes. And that's what I tried to do today. I tried to stay calm and just stay relaxed. Usually I'm always like jittery and always want to move it too fast. Today I took my time and I just do what I do.
The Knights topped off their season with a road win against East Carolina last night. The UCF men's basketball team enters the AAC tournament as the 7th seed. The winner of the tournament gets an automatic bid in the NCAA tournament. Head coach Johnny Dawkins says games like they played in this week gives them confidence moving into the postseason.
Experience you get in those type of games, I think the better you are, as you mentioned, down the stretch of the season. And so I think it gives our guys confidence and to know that they can, come back and win games down the stretch.
The first round of the AAC tournament tips off next Thursday at Dickies Arena from Fort Worth, Texas. In Orlando, John Whitley, UCF Nightly News.
An announcement has not been made on who the Knights will play in the first round of the tournament. The Knights finished with the AAC season with a record of 8-10. But that's all I have for you for this week in sports. As always, charge on and back to Sade and Matison.
That's all our time for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our Twitter at UCF Nightly News.
And if you've got a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynewsucf@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, charge on.